So it was an unpaid apprenticeship. I don't think these people know what Pilates even is. It wasn't like I loved the audience clapping for me. It was like I loved how hard that was. I was so anxious about the anxiety of having an identity crisis that I think I gave myself one anyways.
You guys, today I am sitting down with former professional dancer turned Pilates studio owner Kelsey Lewinski, and we are getting honest about what it really looks like to walk away from performing, rebuild your identity, and create something that actually aligns with who you are now. We talk about burnout, unpaid apprenticeships, the reality of making it in dance, and how the same skills that got you your dance job can actually build an entirely new life. And if you've ever felt behind, confused, or unsure of your next step, I need you to hear this. Studies show that over 70% of people feel lost or directionless in their 20s. So if you are one of those people, you are not failing, you are just in the thick of it. If this episode resonates with you or any of the other ones have, make sure you're following the show so you don't miss what's next. Welcome back, you guys, to Kicking It Real. I'm here with Kelsey, who's a former professional dancer, now Pilates studio owner and dance teacher. Lots of fun things to talk about today. So Kelsey, thanks for being here. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to chat.
I know. This has been a long time coming for us.
Yeah.
We're going to warm it up. And
Okay.
what is something you have been kicking it with lately?
Okay, I was thinking about this. I was like, do I think about this in the grand scheme of everything or dance specifically? And coming off of a convention weekend, I just have thoughts on dance and I'm kicking it with technique.
I love that.
I just need
that.
to see it. I feel like lately there's so many different themes going on in the dance world, but at the end of the day, like I want to see your technique. That's my thing.
It's like technique is just always, it's always going to be king. Like it's just always,
Yeah.
because nothing beats it. Nothing, you can have the best artistry, but then if you see like that, like good technique,
I know.
it's just like.
And I think like part of it too is studios are focusing on like one or the other. Like they're either a really technical studio and then they don't have as much artistry or they don't have as new and challenging choreography, or vice versa. It's very artistic and it's really out there and like they're pushing boundaries, but they're not very well trained.
I've never thought about it in that sense, but that's also so valid because for me growing up, like my studio, I always like talk about this, my studio, and if my teachers are listening, it's never shade because I had the best experience in my entire life. But like I feel like ours was like kind of like a mix, but then like I would go take like a bunch of ballet over the summer to like really get my technique, even though I felt like I had good technique, but it's so true. But they only like did ballet and they did like dance on point, and I was with like fifth graders. But anyways, okay, we'll get back into this.
Yeah, that's a whole thing.
No, whole thing. What are you kicking to the curb?
Okay, not taking time for myself.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm in this really great, fruitful period of my life where I've created these opportunities for myself. I care about my students so much. I put so much work and effort into their training. I am getting married this summer, so I have a fiance and we're working on planning our wedding and our relationship is growing. But then at the end of the day, I come back and I'm like, oh, when's the last time I did something for myself? So we're kicking to the curb, not taking care of ourselves.
Yeah, like filling your cup up before you pour into other people's. It's so hard because I'm sure for you, it almost like kind of fills your cup to fill other people's cup, but it's like that balance of like, but you have to still have something to pour into other people.
Yeah, it's weird you say that because I haven't really thought about it like that, but that's true. I think part of why I go so long without doing something that's like actually to regenerate my own like sense of self and bring me back to myself is because you're right. I do like love all those things. I created a business that I love and care about. So working on it is not like taking away from me, even though the burnout catches up regardless of what you're doing. But yeah, like I love my students. I want them to do well. I love my studio. I want it to prosper, but yeah.
No, it's a real thing too. I find when you're kind of your own boss, I will catch myself like doing stuff till like 7:30, and then I'm like, well, like maybe you should just like close the computer and like go have dinner with your husband. But
it's hard.
But it's because you're enjoying it. But then you're like, it's that balance for sure. But I want to take it back just for like a brief overview of your journey training growing up, and then how that kind of got you into professional dance and then into Pilates.
So I always wanted to dance. My mom was a dance minor in college. So she was finishing her college degree and working full time while she was raising me. So I would go with her to dance class. And she was, I can't remember. I'm trying to remember like what the classes were. I have a very distinct memory of her in a creative movement class. and they were like lesson plans for teaching little kids. And she would come home and practice on me and my brother, and it was just really cute. So I always saw it growing up. My mom loved dance, still loves dance. And then I continued to kind of bop around between studios as I moved. So we moved a lot when I was little, jumped between studios, never had anything like really solid and serious. And then when we moved to Michigan, I was in middle school, found a studio, ended up wanting to transfer somewhere else. And that's where I landed at Big City Dance Center, which is where I teach now. So I didn't start dancing there until my sophomore year of high school, which is crazy because I look back and I'm like, it's such a big part of my life because I still work here and I'm in my 7th season teaching for them on top of dancing there. So it's just crazy to look back and think, oh yeah, I didn't start here till high school. Like I feel like I grew up there.
That just speaks so much of the environment and like energy that they've created that it felt so homey. It feels so homey.
Yeah.
Even though
And
it's not your baby home.
it's not my baby home. And a lot of our kids, it is their baby home. But we always too, we're very like excited to tell and share with people that all of our staff, almost all of our staff, danced here as well. So we all kind of stuck around. One of our other teachers, she's a bit younger than me, and my first year was her senior year, and I taught her modern. So yeah, and then my other really good coworker, his name's Dan, we were graduating class, same class, and he still teaches for us too.
Is it a really big studio? How many kids are at the studio? Also, give me reference too, because I'm like, I don't even know what an average studio would be.
So in terms of a competition studio, it's pretty big.
Okay.
General big. We have, I want to say this year, like 80 to 90 competition students on our team. And then we have like 3 different rec teams. Yeah, lots of kids.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Also, your mom, I'm going back now.
Yeah.
Your mom, what a superhero, because also going to school in general is hard. And then going to school for dance is hard. And then also being a mom, I can't relate, but like,
it was crazy. She was getting an accounting degree. She was getting her accounting degree. She was minoring in dance, and she was raising 2 kids. So
no.
crazy.
I'm so bopping around. Do you have a age group you like to teach the best? Because you also mentioned she was learning how to teach little kids. And when I was in college, I taught dance. And I got put on this like 2-year-old class. I really didn't want to do it. And then I started teaching it, and there was 14 of them, and I was by myself. And I realized, I was like, I am not equipped to do this. Like, this is a special thing. Like, you should be trained to teach dance that young.
Also, I'm not equipped to teach that young. The youngest I feel confident with that I can really connect to them and help them is like 7.
That's pretty good though. That's pretty young still.
Yeah, and they're on our competition team though, so like they mean business even though they're 7. So speaking of creative movement in college, because I went to school for dance as well, so I have my BFA. One of my courses I took was creative movement, and it was like a pedagogy class. My cat's about to come in the frame. Duncan.
We welcome pets on Keeping It
let's see if he comes by. It was a dance pedagogy class learning how to teach creative movement to little kids. It was like my lowest grade I got in college. I don't know what it was. It was like, and I'm like a very book smart person. Like I like to be like, I used to be a very big nerd. I love to study. I love school. And for some reason that class was so hard. And I don't know if it was all of the requirements of like printing out your lesson plans because they're little kids.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, I don't know what was hard about it. I look back at it all the time. I'm like, why was that so hard for me?
I feel
I'm
like
not
the
type
creative,
A like that.
Well, the creative with the structure, I think, is probably hard because I feel like it is. You have to be so structured and planned, but then to also be creative. I don't know. I also, in different aspects, have a difficulty combining the structure with the creative sometimes because it's like you get too structured or too creative, and
Right. Well, and I think that's like why my day-to-day works is because running my business in the morning is very structured and I'm very type A about it. And then when I go to teach the kids, that's like the creative part of my brain. So yeah, it was something about like having to write out these lesson plans and be really distinct and have like an exact codified plan. Like that's not how I teach.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't do well with babies either. And I guess now to answer your question, my favorite age group to teach, I don't know. I like them all because I work with them all.
You're like, I don't want to offend anyone.
I know. I'm like, if any of my dance moms are going to listen to this, they're going to be like, do you like my kid the best?
No, but you don't do babies. So that was like my main question was
no. I used to do a little, I would dabble a little bit, but the youngest I go is our minis and they're about 7, 8.
Yeah. They're the heroes of the world to teach the babies. But when you went to college, what was your auditioning experience like and how did you land where you landed?
Auditions were tough. I feel like I don't even have a ton of memories of it because it was like so intense for me. Like my mom, she was so supportive. My dad as well. They both were very supportive of me getting my BFA, which I was so thankful for. I remember being so scared to tell them I wanted to go to school for dance. And my mom took me everywhere. We went on a trip to New York. I brought one of my good friends with me. I auditioned for Marymount, Juilliard, NYU, kind of all in the same weekend. I remember getting cut right away from NYU, which I was a little bummed about. Like I was really excited about Tisch, and I was like, okay, it's not going to break my spirit. We're going to be fine. So I just did the whole New York circuit. I was convinced I was going to New York. I was like, I'm 100% going to New York for dance. That is what I'm going to do. Always thought that all through high school. Got into Marymount with their BFA program and had put down my housing deposit, was like totally ready. And then I had this like weird come to moment where I was like, I'm not ready to leave home, which was so interesting because I was so gung ho about leaving. So I went back to the drawing board and applied to all of the Michigan schools, Western, U of M, Maine State, things like that. And I got into Wayne and I was just really excited. And I didn't really even know like why, besides my gut feeling telling me I was supposed to go there. And I thought maybe if I actually live on campus instead of commuting, because it's pretty close to home. It's about a 30-minute drive. I was like, okay, that'll give me the college experience.
Yeah.
So I landed at Wayne and I always look back and I'm like, that was the best thing that ever happened to me because I still to this day have best friends from that program. They're going to stand in my wedding. I definitely attribute getting my professional job from being in Michigan because it was right there and I knew two of the company members. They were my teachers at Big City growing up.
Wow.
So that was a big play, and people always say it's all about who you know. It really is. And that's how I got my job. And I just loved being in Detroit. I was there when everything was changing. My freshman year to my senior year was like a full 180 flip in the city of Detroit. Like we got the Q line, we got all these new restaurants. People actually wanted to come down there. They redid all of the sports centers. Like my freshman year, it was not like that. It was like my parents were like, you better be safe. That's how it was.
Yeah. Is it Wayne State in Detroit? Because I went to Western. So I've been to Detroit like 2 times maybe, but it was always for like a school thing. And it was kind of like that where you kind of go into your place and you leave. Like you go in, you go out.
Yeah.
Like not.
No, it's right there. You basically are like, it's not downtown. So downtown, midtown, and then all the freeways towards the suburbs, it's midtown. So you're not like in the middle of downtown, which is nice. It definitely felt like a little college community. But yeah, it was close enough.
Close enough. But that's really nice too. I felt similar when I was 2.5 hours from home. It's still that idea where it's close enough. Like if you really need something, you can go home. And I feel like there's nothing wrong with that. And I think it's so cool that you were able to listen to your gut because I could see it easily going the opposite because there is so much glamour and dreamy energy around New York City and like pressure to not like that's where it is. Because that was actually one of my questions for you was did you ever feel like you were missing out or you needed to go there to perform professionally, or did that kind of get squashed pretty early for you?
It did get squashed pretty early, which is interesting because, like I said, I was so obsessed with the thought of doing that. And I don't know if I guess that's attributed to the program. Like you went to Western, which is also a phenomenal program. I would say between Western and Wayne, like they do it right. They know how to train dancers. And, Western is such a well-rounded program. Wayne definitely at the time leaned a little bit more contemporary. I remember some of my friends seeing you guys at ACDA who went to Western. And there was like this ballroom, large group piece. And I was like, what are they doing over there?
Oh, I think I know the one you're talking about probably, actually. When you say
my friend Michael was in it at the time. And I was just like, whoa, like they're doing something different over there. Because we were just like, baggy pants, beanies, like all contemporary. Like that was so new to us back then. And like that we were like, we're doing it right. We're doing it right.
It's changed so much. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know. I never missed it. I never was like, oh my gosh, I wish I did that. I was more so like, wow, I'm so glad I did this.
I love that you found that piece for yourself because that's amazing. How many times did you audition before getting into Eisenhower? Or was that your first company?
Yeah, that was my first and only. So I only danced for Eisenhower, only auditioned once, but this is crazy. Okay, this is my audition story. I had done a project with them in college. I had performed, they did Bolero. They did an iteration of Bolero. I did Bolero with them. I was probably like a sophomore. I need to look back. But they came into Wayne and they picked a couple kids to do kind of like Dance in the Back, in their show, in their anniversary show.
That's so cool.
So yeah, I was one of them. My friend Brittany was in that as well. And at the time, two of the company members who were like their senior company had been my teachers growing up. They were my modern teachers. Like one of them, he choreographed my senior solo that I used to audition. Like they were my teachers and they were in the company for years. And they actually both still work for the company. So I knew them, which obviously was a great in. And when it came time to audition post-college, my audition was at their studio and the power went out in the middle of the audition, which was really random because it was like this big building they'd always had.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to remember what season it was. I don't remember why we couldn't do it. Like it was dark in there. The lights were off. They were like, do we set up flashlights?
Not the flashlights.
Yeah. And then it started to get a little chilly because like the air, something like, I don't really fully remember, but I remember all of us being like, okay, like, what are we going to do? And they ended up being like, we're going to just have you guys come back again, which is fine, whatever.
Probably safer than dancing in the dark.
Dancing in the dark. Yeah. A bunch of people can't read their numbers. Like, I don't know. So they didn't end up having us come back. They just sent callbacks kind of. And I was one of them. And then I got the call. I remember where I was. And I got the call that I was going to be one of their, I believe there was just two of us, new apprentices. So it was an unpaid apprenticeship, which is another thing I could talk for a long time about. But I was over the moon. I was locked in, ready to go.
Because you were so grateful for an opportunity, of course.
Correct. Of course. So I had just gotten back from traveling Europe with my best friends. We went right after college graduation. We went and we did a couple workshops abroad, traveled around, jumped on trains, did the whole bit. And right when I got home, got the call. So I was going to start right at the beginning of the season. It was the most exciting thing ever.
I know that feeling of like getting your like job as an artist. I don't know, like you just remember it so clearly. Like I remember mine. Everyone just like remembers that moment. So you did your first year as an apprentice.
Yes.
What was day to day like then and then the next year? Yeah.
So day to day was tough. I mean, we were in the room at all times learning all of the rep and we were pretty much like full time, $0. So we were in studio. Our typical rehearsal time was 8-ish, 8 a.m. ballet, 9:30 rehearsal start until either 2 or 3. So like a full day. It was a full day of just constant brain overload. Like, they're doing all these pieces that they've done multiple times. They're like, oh yeah, bring that rep back. I'll learn this track. I'm sure you know this. With Rockettes, like it's all different tracks and everyone has something they know. And if they want to learn the other one, similar enough, it's a lot of work to relearn, but it's all in there for them.
Yeah.
Right?
It's there somewhere. Yeah.
It's there somewhere. The piece, So then we were just in the back picking up everything. And I remember a couple times where they'd be like, one of you, can you just jump in and try it? And we'd be like,
you're like, I don't really know if I
No. And it was like so terrifying because like I even look back and I'm like, I was not technically sound enough yet. Like my first year in the company, like I did not have the strength, the athletic ability enough to be like performing professionally yet. I truly think that. And I mean, my college program prepared me for sure, but there's something so different about being in a job that's literally from 8 to 3. All you're doing is dancing. Like that's so different.
No, it's
so it was overwhelming.
Different.
It was a lot, but it was fun.
How did you survive financially?
I don't even know. I don't know. I look back and I'm like, how did I even pay any rent? Like and this is the other thing too. And this is what I always tell my students is like, to dance professionally, you have to be prepared to never stop working.
Never.
You will leave the rehearsal. I would leave the rehearsal. I would go and I'd teach. At the time, I taught at like 3 different studios. So I wasn't only at Big City like I am now. Now I consider myself like full time there. I was teaching at Eisenhower's school as well. They had a studio. So we would all be, required to work there, teach there a couple shifts, ballet, choreograph. I was running around. I was teaching at 3 studios. I was teaching Pilates mat at a gym. I would work every Sunday morning. I'd teach at the gym. Like I had no downtime, just to be able to pay bills.
Yeah. Is this because I'm not in the concert world? Is unpaid apprenticeships, is that a normal thing that you see a lot, or is that not always the case?
Yeah, unfortunately. So not as much anymore. I think a lot of people have kind of fought back on it. I actually have a former student that I'm going to call today and she wants to talk to me about some things because I don't think she was like unpaid, but she was in like level 2 company and they're paid a lot less. And it's definitely normal to have some kind of stepping stone, whether you're in like, there's ALE 1, ALE 2, or that kind of thing. If you're in the secondary company or if you're just an apprentice in the background, I would hope that that's changing now because I think it's a little bit unethical.
A little bit. Do you think, what would you say to someone? I mean, you're obviously talking to your student about it, but what if someone was in a position where they wanted to be in a company or a company was the only offer they got was an unpaid apprenticeship? Like, do you feel that that is going to be burning bridges by not accepting that? Or what would you, if you could go back, maybe what would you want to do differently or tell your daughter to do, your unborn
I know.
child?
Oh my gosh. My gosh. I am always like, ooh, maybe my unborn child doesn't dance at all.
I say that all the time. I actually say that all the time. I'm like, I would never say you can't do anything, but I would never be like you pushing it like extra hard. I'd be like,
yeah, no, I'm not like, oh, I want to be a dance mom. No. It's hard. Like I want to tell them not to do it because I think their worth is better than that. But at the same time, I wouldn't have done any of the things I did had I not done that.
Yeah.
So it's so tricky because like, this is going to get into a whole nother facet of the conversation, but I ended up discovering like my passion in dance did not lie in performing. So going through that to then have a performing career, that was how I needed to achieve that.
Yeah.
But could I have done something else to be involved in the dance world that would have sustained me a little bit better? Yes, but I think I did have to go through that to get the performing career I wanted.
I always say too, you have to know what you don't like too. And sometimes it is doing those things and you're like, I actually don't like this. And being able to be like, oh, but so I can do something else and I can walk away and change and pivot.
When you're
go ahead.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
When you're 21 and you're right out of college, your brain doesn't do that. It's not like, oh, I don't like this. It's like, I will do everything that's given to me.
I think that's kind of what the narrative is or was in the dance world too. It's like you have to just be grateful and you need to love it and how cool. And I don't know if it's a little bit of proving to the world that underlying like a lot of people in general maybe I don't want to say look down, but they're like, oh, you're a dancer. Like, oh, you're going to try to do that. And for me too, it was like, no, I'm going to prove that I can do it. Like I need to prove it in that way. And I think for me, my naivety when I was that age, it was like, well, if I'm not performing, I'm not successful, which I do not agree with. And that was not even put, like, even professors were like, no, there's other things you can do. But my 20-year-old brain was like, no, you have to perform, otherwise you're not successful, which I cannot disagree with more now. But
and again, this might take us into another part of the timeline of all of this, but that was really what happened to me when I retired, quote unquote. Was I had been doing it for about 3 years. We made it through COVID. They paid us through COVID, which was phenomenal. We took ballet, holding onto kitchen chairs in our living room. Like it was crazy. But they were able to like through their backers and their founders continue to support us, which was phenomenal. And that is the nice thing about being in a full professional company. But then we started to kind of get back into the groove of things. And then the world opened back up and I was given the opportunity to travel to the Netherlands and do this program that I had wanted to do for a really long time. And it was not by any means like, it was not a company that was teaching us rep. It was not, I'm doing this workshop through this other company. It was, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, One Body, One Career.
It sounds familiar.
We call it OBAC. So it's this woman in the Netherlands who started this training program that basically is like a release technique. And she uses all this anatomy. Every day you talk about a different body part. You look at it on like a skeleton. And then you're talking about like reaching parts away from each other.
Okay.
It's really cool. It's very like science-backed dance kind of. So I went and I did that for 2 weeks in Europe. I had 2 American friends, made a ton of abroad friends. It was awesome. And I was like, my gosh, I'm obsessed with this. And it has nothing to do with performing. It's just how my body feels when it's moving. And like so many things that I could bring back and translate into teaching my students, like, oh, like pull your foot away from this part of your body and you get more length this way. And like, that's how my brain works. And I was so obsessed. And I remember like at the end of it, I was like, Mom, I have to quit.
You just knew like that.
Wow. Yeah.
That's so cool.
And even my boss knew. So I got home from Europe and I was like, hey, can I set up a call? And she was like, I know what this is about. Because she was so great, so supportive. I still love her so much, our artistic director. And she was like, I feel like you want to do other things. Like, I feel like I have this sense that
Wow.
like you need more, whatever that means. And I was always like, no, I don't. No, I don't. I love what I'm doing. And because the same thing, like you said, it's like you want to be like, no, I can prove that I can do this. Like I want to be in a
Yeah.
company. And then I went and I did that workshop and I was like, oh, I think she's right. Like I want to be able to like have the freedom to travel and
So
teach with a
she
passion or
told you
whatever.
this before you knew.
Oh yeah. She would always like in our meetings,
Wow.
our one-on-ones be like, how are you feeling? Like you're doing great, but like, how are you feeling?
That is so cool though.
Yeah.
Like knowing that I mean, granted, it's a smaller, I'm not as like a huge conglomerate, like corporate
Right.
company, but like how cool that your director can know you like that and
Mhm.
actually cares to get to know you like that. Because I don't
Yeah.
think that's also a common universal thing in
Hmm.
all companies, which is, wow, that's really cool. So it
Yeah.
was kind of like a gut punch that you were like, okay, it's time.
Hmm.
Did you
And I came
know
home.
what you wanted to do or just not that?
No, no idea. Just not that.
Had
I
you
was
been
like,
take go so go ahead.
no, I'm thinking back to it because it's like such a weird memory. Like I haven't really thought about it in a while. Like I lived in a loft in Detroit at the time. It was like this really cool apartment. Like I said, the world's opening back up. Like things are still a little bit weird. And it was like the month before we would have started.
Mhm.
And I mean, mind you, that was my routine. Wake up, ballet, dance all day, ballet,
Yeah.
dance all day. And I was just like, I can't go back. So I called her. I told her. She completely kind of like knew and saw it coming almost and was like, I wish you the best. Like, we care about you so much. Like,
Mm.
you can always jump in for class this first year if you want to like jump in and take, and which was really great. And then I just like sat there on my couch and I was like, wait, what am I going to do?
Now what? What's next?
What am I going to do? I was like, wait, mind you, I have all these teaching jobs. I still continue to do them, but it felt like a good 6 months of twiddling my thumbs.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, I can relate in the way too of when I decided to not go back to Rockheads. I I didn't have this podcast. I was
Hmm.
posting content, but it was the same thing where I was like, yeah, wait, it said your recording stopped because you had a call. Wait, I wonder
Did it
if it
fix it?
started. I'm going to stop and restart just in
Okay.
case.
Yeah.
It says it is. I didn't have this podcast. I was posting content and I was liking it. And I didn't really know, but like it was like that gut of like, but I feel like I'm supposed to be doing something else. Like
Hmm.
it just, and like here we are. And now I'm so happy and things
Yeah.
are like where they're supposed to be. But I mean, not everyone's also in the financial situation because sometimes it's like their full
Hmm.
time. You can't just like quit a full time paying job and then like go do things. But it's cool that you were able to be like, no, I can still financially support myself, but just like trust that I'm
Yeah.
going to figure out what I'm meant to do. Had you ever done Pilates at this point or?
Yes. So I Wayne had this really great collaboration with this studio where your freshman year, if you took the mat course, they would pay for it. If in hindsight, your sophomore year, you would teach mat to the incoming freshmen.
Hmm.
So it was a really good trade-off. They had this collaboration with the studio that I ended up actually working at for a long time. So I did that. I got through the mat program and then a receptionist job opened up at that Pilates studio.
Mhm.
So all through college, I worked reception at this main training hub for the Midwest in Bloomfield Hills.
Cool.
So I worked there. I was the front desk. I was client services. I would take class. I went through the rest of my training.
I'm seeing the connections. Okay.
So it actually, again, there's another connection to Wayne. I don't have this part of my career without Wayne being a part of
Yeah.
that. So it's interesting to look back at that as well. But it was always just like a side gig, like I taught at this gym and I taught math or I would teach Pilates to the kids. I wasn't really consistently teaching in like terms of it being a career until maybe like middle of my dance career.
Okay.
So if not even till like after, because I was so busy, like it was like dance, dance, dance. So then when I quit, when I retired, I say retired because, it just felt like I was done. Because to
Yeah.
some people, they would go and audition for other companies. I knew I didn't want to be performing. So I was just done. I was retired from performing.
Yeah.
But
And no, I was going to say, I think like even if you did want to perform, I mean, retire from the company.
yeah, yeah, just retiring, which sounds so weird when you're 24 years old, but
Yeah. I know
that's
my
what it
mom's
was.
always like, what do you mean retire? And I'm like, Mom, it's just different. Okay. It's different in
That's
the
what
dance
we
world.
say. That's what
Yes.
that's what we
Say
are.
it.
We're retired.
Yes.
But yeah, so I always knew since college that I wanted my own business at some point.
Okay.
I remember my honors thesis was I put together this like syllabus of sorts in a binder that was going to be this course for wellness for dancers that It was like a fake course that I would have, in an imaginary world taught to dancers or taught to dance programs. And it included like fascial health, your tissue layers, included like eating habits,
Include everything.
Pilates for cross training, all this stuff. Like I was always like, I can picture myself having either a course, a business, something like that. I
Uh-huh.
didn't know it was going to be a brick and mortar, like actual studio, but we can talk about that in a bit too. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I kind of fell onto Pilates when I was in that weird chunk of time where I wasn't dancing, and I just started teaching that more in addition to teaching dance a little bit more seriously, and I started to choreograph more. So before I
Okay.
was just teaching technique, and then fast forward after I stopped dancing, I started to choreograph a bit more. So that was that transition.
That's okay. This is so interesting to me. Okay. And I'm sure it is everyone listening.
Yeah.
So you knew you wanted to open a business.
Yes.
Did you, how do I want to word this? Like when you decided, okay, I'm going to open a Pilates studio, did, did you really know, or were you like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to figure it out? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I had no idea. So I had just moved in with my now fiance. We live in Royal Oak, and I was always downtown just grabbing coffee, that kind of thing. And I was working at two different Pilates studios at the time. And I believe I was pretty strictly teaching at Big City. So I had like 3 gigs going. Um, And I walked by this space across the street from the coffee shop I go to, and there was a for lease sign in the window. And I had a couple months prior talked to my Pilates boss, the owner of the studio that I worked at. And she was also like very similar to my dance company director. She was very supportive and also was like, I feel like you could do something for yourself. Like, I feel like that's the energy you have, which now looking back, that's like a theme with all these women in my life, which I guess I need to be very thankful for.
Yeah.
Everyone's kind of like, Kelsey, what do you really want to be doing?
Like you're meant for more if you
Yeah,
didn't
I
know.
don't know. I remember asking her, like, do you think I could own a studio? Like, would that be something that you could see me doing? And she was like, yeah, I definitely think you could. I think if you did something, that's small and feels really like you and like it's totally your thing, like that would be great for you. And I remember just being like, why is she saying that to me? Like, does she not want me to work for her? Like,
Yeah, she's getting rid of me.
I know, again, it's just like these women were so supportive of me, and they're also female entrepreneurs. They're at the heads in the forefronts of their business. I think that gives them a perspective to be able to be like, no, that would be great for you, because they do that too.
Yeah, it's the same idea of even relating it back to the dance world that not every dancer is a good like dance teacher or dance
Right.
leader and
Yes.
with fitness, but when you can just see those qualities in people though
Hmm.
when they are, and there's not a right or wrong way, people are just have different strengths, but it's
Yeah.
cool to be able to recognize that and pull that out of you.
And I think good leadership is something that you have innately, but also you can continue to learn. Like I look back at how they all did things, right? Because now
Hmm.
in a leadership role. I have employees. They're not like employees. They're contracted workers, but still, I mean, I pay payroll. I have people that work for me. So how can I be a good leader while also doing all these other things at the same time? And that's been a bit of a learning curve, but
Yeah.
I do have all these other females in my life that I can look at and think, okay, well, they did this and they did this, or maybe they did this and I didn't like that. So how can I not
Yeah.
do that? Oh, and it's again, no shade to anyone because everyone is on their own learning curve. But between my company director, my current dance boss, who also used to be my teacher, and then my former Pilates studio boss, I have these 3 incredible women that
Yeah.
are at the head of things and are doing it well. So I can look back at them and use it for reference. But
Yeah. No, and it's so real, and even the things you maybe don't like or don't want to do, it's not even that they're doing it wrong. It's just not what you want the energy of your
yes.
studio to be like. Because I
Yeah.
always say, coming from like teaching Pure Barre for 7 years and having many different studio
Mm-hmm.
owners and experiences from the suburbs of Chicago to like New York City and then back to Houston.
Mm-hmm.
So just so many different approaches and ways. But I think at the end of the day, it's all comes down to how the person at the top treats their people and what kind of environment they're able to cultivate in that way.
Yeah.
Which I feel like dancers too, I talk about this all the time, but I just feel
Mm-hmm.
dancers are so versatile and have so many skills that we don't even realize that we can
Mm-hmm.
transfer to other things. What were the biggest things that transferred from dance to being a business owner that
Mm.
maybe you didn't even realize were going to transfer until it happened?
Ooh, that's a hard question.
I know.
I think, well, an important one is just like malleability and being able to be quick on your feet. I mean, that literally like stems from improvisation or
Learning in the back.
learning in the back or picking up the dances in the back and being told to do it full out right now, that kind of thing. And then also the working so much, which also
Hmm.
could be a downfall of mine sometimes, but it makes it so that having all these moving parts is not daunting to me. I'm so used to having all those moving parts. And I think I say this all the time too. Like I talk to my current teachers and my employees and stuff about this, but I think that the creativity of being a dancer is so synonymous with business.
Mm.
You, especially as new as I am, I'm only about a year and a half, almost 2 years into being a business owner. You have all the hats, like you're everything. Like I'm doing my own social media. I'm coming up with all these challenges we do. I'm
Oh my.
cleaning this studio. I'm teaching usually like 7 to 9 hours a day before I go teach dance. Like I'm doing literally everything.
What?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's crazy. And I think that like ability to do all these different parts is like a creative brain of a dancer.
Mm,
It's just
yeah.
connecting the dots of all these different things and being able to do them all.
To juggle all of them. I feel like we're very used to being like, okay, like this is your task at hand, like figure out how to make it happen. We're here
Yeah.
just like and I don't know, I think about this often. I'd be curious your thoughts on the idea of as dancers, I feel like we're wired to always want to be better and to
Mm.
grow and to like I don't want to use the word chase, but like go
Mhm.
after things and like
Mhm.
grow in that way. And I don't know if you feel like that applies to the business aspect of things because it's all
Yeah.
completely different parts, things you're doing, but kind of the same.
Yeah, it's like anti-complacency, I think.
Mm,
It's like there's always another step up, you know?
yeah. Nope. It's like the
Even
toxic like
when
achiever in us. Like,
yes, no,
okay,
it
keep going.
is. It's a toxic
Yeah.
achiever for sure. And even when like I did retire, you're like, okay, but what else could I be doing to still be doing something that like would be the next step above that? And not even like, oh, I'm gonna work for a more well-known company. No,
Yeah.
because I knew that's not what I wanted to do. But like for myself, what would be the next growth step?
Mm, yeah,
And
that's so
that's hard.
cool
Yeah.
because I don't it's so hard to ever imagine going to like and there's nothing wrong with a 9 to 5 corporate job, but coming
Mm-hmm.
from the grind of trying to be a
Mm-hmm.
professional dancer, you can't like go back to just sitting at a
Mm-mm.
desk working for
Mm-mm.
someone. And I
No.
think it also stems back to how I want dancers to start looking at themselves like a business because
Yeah.
we don't think about it because we're just trying to get jobs, but you're marketing yourself. You're
Yeah.
interviewing, like your auditions are interviews. You're
Mm-hmm.
constantly like you are a business. You're freelancing. You're negotiating different
Yeah.
deals. It's all kind of connected in that way, and knowing how to command a space and
Mm-hmm.
have presence. And I can't believe you're teaching also on top of all of that. Do you
I know.
feel do you feel like not do you feel, do you was there ever a thought of opening a dance studio
Mm.
slash why was it just because you saw the space for the Pilates studio or was it like I'm just really happy where I'm teaching dance at the studio and I don't want to?
Yeah, growing up, I always was like, I'm gonna own a dance studio. That was the
Mm,
thing. Like that was the business in the back of the brain was I'm gonna own a Pilates studio. But I think when I started working for my boss and we turned into this like very synonymous, there's like 4 or 5 of us that are the competition team, and we just work so well together. And like in the last 2 years specifically, I mean, obviously all the years I've taught, but we just had this great energy between us and we're all very different. Like one of my teachers and my friend Dan, the one I mentioned, he lived out in LA and he did the commercial route. He did like background dancing. He did music videos. He did all of that jazz. The other, she would assist at conventions and she strictly focuses on choreography. I have the concert background. So we're all different and it all feeds into the way that we're able to like foster these kids. So
mhm.
I think that the environment that I'm in now just feels so on point with like what I want to be doing. Like I feel like my role as the modern teacher is so valued versus the business of owning a studio. Now that I'm like closer to the top of it and I'm like up in there, that is something I do not want to do. I can tell you that right now.
I think there's a huge difference, correct me if I'm wrong, when you're in a dance studio business setting versus Pilates because you're dealing with the parents of the kids
Yeah.
versus I always said that because I love teaching fitness.
Hmm.
I like teaching like a master class, private lessons. I
Yeah.
am not like I'm going to go teach the same kids every week because
Mm,
I am like, and every studio is different, but
mhm,
they're just kids and they don't like,
mhm.
you're teaching them how to be humans on top of it. And sometimes maybe
Yes.
they don't want to be
Yes.
there. And then their parents are making them be there versus when you're teaching fitness, it's adults. They're all
Yep.
paying to be there. They have a
Yep.
mission to be there and then they go. And it's not this whole, like, it is such a different ball game.
It's
So
so different. I think also what kind of showed me that I want to do this in terms of like my business is there's longevity in that for me. Like I'm physically starting to fall apart a little bit. I tore my rotator cuff recently, went skiing once and I have knee pain now. Like I'm like at the point where I can't be doing this for like
it's so
full
real.
out anymore. And I used to teach full out. Like I used to teach and do modern. I taught ballet. This is the first year in years I don't teach ballet. So
Mm,
I'm not doing it. I always would teach relatively full out. So I'm kind of like on this downward slope of like moving myself, which I'm okay with because I'm getting older. I'm about to get married. I'm starting a new phase of my life.
yep.
But with Pilates, I'm not doing it as I'm teaching it. And a lot of my clientele is they're either older or they're recovering from injuries or they're young people that want to like know their posture and correct their posture and want longevity. I'm not really in the world of like Pilates aesthetics. Like I'm not trying to like make people feel like, oh, get like this Pilates body. That's not my thing. So there's a lot of longevity in my career that I can see ahead of me. Like if I had like a timeline,
Mm,
I can see it lasting a really long time. So I
I,
knew that that was going to be the right path for me because I have clients that I truly feel I'll have for life. And like you said, I wake up, I teach adult bodies all day.
mhm.
I go home, I eat my lunch, and then I go teach kids. So right now it works. Right now what we have going
Yeah.
works.
And I'm sure it's just as exhausting at night too. When you're, it's like just two different like brains personas that have to be on, which I also love.
It
It just
is.
sounds like listening to you talk about it too. It sounds like you have such a passion for Pilates and
Mm-hmm.
in the clientele and longevity because you also
Mm-hmm.
probably can relate to it a little bit better than back
Yeah.
in the you're at that stage of life where you're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I can relate to this and I understand what's going on. And I also love, and I think that's so helpful for people listening too, that you started to think of longevity because
Mm-hmm.
going back to that 21-year-old out of college, you're like, what do I need to do right now? What do I need to feel successful versus like, okay, like let's take a step back and actually look at the big picture
Yeah.
of things. You kind of mentioned the Pilates craze things happening right now. There's a lot going on and I'm not fully in it, but what
Oy.
is your studio like?
Yes.
And why do you pride yourself in what your studio is like?
So this is crazy because a client asked me the other day, like, how long have you been doing this? 2026 is my 10th year since I started my first course of Pilates.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm in my 10th year since training and teaching, which is a long time in the grand scheme of my life, you know? So I have been doing it a long time. I trained at a studio that is a corporate hub for the method that I'm
Mhm.
trained in. They have been around for such a long time. And all of my ITs, my instructor trainers, are senior instructors of the method. It's very anatomical. Our exam was written anatomy exam, full 2 hour
Wow.
practical, all of the apparatus. So my whole beef right now is, and I go back and forth. Like I want so badly to be like, I'm so glad it's having some popularity right now.
Mhm.
Cause of course that's going to be good for my business because everybody wants to try it. But then at the same time, I'm like, I don't think these people know like what Pilates even is. I'm not even exaggerating, 4 studios, 3 studios between my house and my own studio. Like it's crazy. They're everywhere. But the thing is, and I feel like I have a right to say this because I've been doing it a long time, but like a lot of these people are not actual Pilates instructors. They're just
Tea.
teaching like, there's this craze right now of like teaching sculpt. You're teaching
Yes.
like pulsey sculpt and on arm weights and wrist weights. And like, basically teaching bar. You taught pure bar.
Mhm.
I taught bar.
Yeah.
People are teaching bar on a mat
On a machine.
and then on a reformer and they're calling it
Yeah.
Pilates. And I'm like, girl, you're teaching bar. Like that's not, because what I'm
Yeah.
doing and what I pride myself in is that I really focus on detail, tons of anatomy. Like I use anatomical verbiage with everyone, whether they know it or not. I want them to know what's going on. I only have memberships that include private sessions because I want anyone who's like a member of my studio to at least do a private a month
Oh, that's
because
so cool.
well, and because everyone wants to just do the quick thing and they want to just do class and they want to come in and leave and it's fine. But if you want to be doing a real Pilates practice that's going to be something you can do until you're 85, there's other equipment that's going to be beneficial for that too. And I think it's important to get that one-on-one look at your body. So I make it really affordable because also Pilates sometimes is not. And I also make it really, really affordable for people to try it. So everyone's first session is only $50, which I feel like in the world of Pilates is like nothing.
Yeah. For a
But
private
I
session?
just, yeah.
My goodness. Yeah.
But I get a ton of them because people are like, oh, I actually like have always been curious about that and I want to try that. And that's not going to put me out for trying something new that I don't know if I'll like.
I mean, that's less than like a drop in class some places.
Yeah, correct.
For a one-on-one session. Could not be more obsessed with that. I don't know if it's the dancer in us of the technique behind things and the longevity and like the understanding of it, or it's just who we are as people. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that is something that I wish so many, not even just dancers, just people understood that there is no such thing as a quick fix. And when you do something correctly and intentionally, you're going to get benefits faster. It's like the same. I know it's not the same, but in bar, my biggest thing was when you'd have like 2 or 3 pound weights and then you'd have one person be like, no, I'm going to use the 5 pound weights, but then like drop their arms every second. And I'm like,
yeah.
that's
so why
not
are you doing that?
Yeah. Like it's not wrong to use a 5 pound weight for something, but this is not the method. There's reasons behind technique. There's a reason why you went through so much training because you know what you're talking about and you're trying to,
Well, it's like ballet too. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. Like all of the corrections I'm making about like stacking your rib cage and finding your actual deep core versus your surface level core, like your 6-pack, right? Like these are all things I teach my ballerinas or my students.
Yeah.
And then I find like all of these themes of what I'm telling these adults by day, I'm then translating to the kids at night and they're very synonymous. So there's so much about like how you hold yourself and your posture that we do in dance naturally, that comes naturally to us. That does not come naturally to the average person. So then when they have that like lift and then they feel this strength of being up, like it gives them the confidence that I feel like we get through the physicality of dance. And this is my new thing is that I keep telling everyone this. I'm like, I think I finally realized what I love most about dance is the physicality of it. For me, I love how athletic it makes me feel. I love sweating and like doing a couple full out runs when you're like, you feel like you just exerted so much. Like that's what I loved. It wasn't like I loved the audience clapping for me. It was like I loved how hard that was.
I'm having a mini crisis in my head right now because that's so real. Wow.
And I think everyone's thing is different. Like some people are like, I am made to have an audience clapping for me and like I'm made to perform. And I feel like why I love Pilates so much is because I'm just like nitpicking these people to make them feel like correct and the most strong they can and have like the healthiest body they can. But that's also what I'm doing with my students.
Yeah. Man, you would maybe love the precision world because it's like that. Like it's the details and I love what you said. Like I love being tired and I love pushing my body because that's what I would say too, whenever I would talk about our rehearsal process and how like grueling it was. And I always said it wasn't that I didn't like working hard. Like I loved working hard and being sore and pushing my body. For me, it was always like the mental part of it that was where I struggled of like, that's a whole nother conversation, but the physical, that is so real. And it's just nice to have that realization too, because I was very similar to you where I was like, this is what I want to do. And it's hard because I always say like, I don't love it enough, but then I almost feel like that's a little invalidating in a way too, where it's this ongoing feeling of just because you don't want to perform doesn't mean you're less or we're less of a dancer. And you can find love in different ways and movement. And wow, thank you for just changing my whole, I'm going to have to go like journal on this after just the like you love the physicality of it.
It's just interesting because when you think about it that way too, when you really try to figure it out, because I was like, everybody tells you, oh, when you finish, you're going to have an identity crisis. And I was so anxious about the anxiety of having an identity crisis that I think I gave myself one anyways. But then I sat back and I was like, okay, but I'm actually fine. Like I still teach dance enough to get the fulfillment of doing that movement pattern. Like I'm doing plie still when I teach them. I'm breaking it down. I'm moving my body when I teach modern and I make up my class. So I'm like doing it as I show it to them. It just makes it so that you're able to be like, I actually still am a dancer. Like I'm doing the part that mattered to me. And now I've realized that my passion lies in teaching because I'm able to translate the details that I have and the way that I teach Pilates translates to how I teach the kids, and it's detail and it's specificity of things. And it's okay. You're an athlete as much as you are an artist. And I always tell my kids this too. Like you guys are like this totally unique, special brand of human being that is an athlete and an artist at the same time. There's nothing else. There's nothing else.
No.
Maybe
like,
musicians, maybe with their like lungs, but that's it. Like,
yeah, it's still body, a little less full body than dance, maybe.
you know
but
what I mean? Like
no,
that's so special. Like you are both things. So you have to train both equally. And I actually, just choreographed a piece about that this year. We called it The Team and they're wearing basketball shorts. And it's just like super, super hard modern dance. But
do you
like,
have a video of it?
I do. I just got a video because I just completed it this weekend. Yeah.
I want to see it.
I'll show you a clip or something, but that was like what I made it about was like, okay, how can we make something that makes you seem like you're showing off all your athleticism, but you're also still like this creative artist. And it's really cool and they love it. And they like drip sweat after it and they're wearing crew necks. It's great.
I love also that you're like, I love the physicality, but you're also like so creative because what a cool concept. That is amazing.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. And I think that's making me feel better about like doing less dance myself is knowing that like I can give this to them and then watch them train their bodies and become stronger and more talented athletically as well as artists.
Do you feel
do
you feel like you would have felt it a little bit more if you had just dove into Pilates and not continued to teach dance on top of it? Yeah.
Yeah. I think, and I have a couple friends who they did more of a hard stop and it was like, okay, when I'm done, dance is out of my life, complete 180. I don't think that would have worked for me. I think that inherently, performance aside, dance has to be a part of my life somehow. And that's what I've recognized, you know, moving forward. Like, okay, let's say I want to start having kids. What is that going to look like for me? Will I still be able to teach? I don't know. So that will be like, if this is like phase 1 is college, phase 2 is the performance career. Now I'm in phase 3. Like, I don't know what phase 4 is.
Yeah, you don't have to know, which is the nice thing. You can just kind of keep rolling with the punches and see what happens, which I wanted to touch on as well. I also feel like teaching fitness translated how not only I could teach and articulate dance, but like dance myself. Have you felt that more now that you own a studio? / did you feel that connection when you were dancing professionally? And if you did or did not, like what would you say to someone who is and how they can start tapping into that earlier?
Yeah, I think that that's a classic pipeline, like dancer to teaching fitness, whether it's bar, Pilates, or even like these, you know, sculpt kind of stuff. And I think that we draw ourselves, like we get drawn to it because we do love that athleticism at the end of the day. Like you can't be a dancer without that. And I think that I saw that I was my strongest self when I was teaching a ton of group fitness because I was doing it. So when I taught bar and mat Pilates at the gym, when you're teaching mat, you're doing it most of the time. You're demoing a lot more. Now that I'm teaching in a format that's equipment based and I'm just verbalizing, I'm seeing my body start to kind of like come apart. And it's interesting to realize like how valuable it is to even do that small amount of work. And it's been a little bit of an eye opener for me because I help people do this all day. And I'm like constantly preaching, like you have to move certain ways. You have to flex, extend, side bend. You have to do all these things. But then I'm standing there hovering over them with a forward head all day.
Your neck.
And I'm like it's catching up to me. So I would say anybody who needs a side gig that's in their dance career that feels like teaching is too much, teaching dance, because it can be very overwhelming, find some kind of fitness venture.
Yeah.
It's so healthy. It's so inspiring to work with adults that are not dancers.
It makes
take care of their bodies.
It makes you feel kind of like an ego boost a little bit as a dancer because you have that natural connection to your body and ability to like put on a show, for lack of a better word. Like you can present to these people and you're like, oh wow, wait, I can do things outside of dance. I think it's also a good branch for like transitioning too. If you were to step out of whatever your full-time dance is, whether it's performance or whatever you're doing as a dancer, and that to be able to like bridge that gap a little bit. I also, I think for me, being able to verbally articulate to other people helps you verbally articulate to yourself.
Yeah.
So like, cause you were also
sure.
talking, and I'm sure you found that, look at me, I'm like doing things. The Netherlands one too, cause you were saying how you could like reach. I also thought precision
Yes.
when you did that, cause you were saying like to reach, we do a lot of like twisting and pulling and reaching this way. But this twist actually comes from pulling your shoulder back, not from reaching this way. Like all those can you talk about that for a second?
Yeah. And well, that's how I teach Pilates. I think that's a big part of it too, is like, I'm not like, the book would be like, okay, pull forward with your arms, right? Like the book says, okay, hands in the straps, you press. But I think because of the way that my brain is wired to think about movement from dance, I'm able to be like, okay, well, if you draw your shoulders back and you lift your chest and then you push your fingers down and then you scoop, now you're engaging through the upper back. Like that comes from ballet. The translation is so there.
Yeah.
And I think it just fixes cues for people. Like dancers have this deeper understanding. Even my younger students, sometimes I'm like always impressed. I'm like, wow, you like really get that. Like we have this other understanding of like how things happen.
Yes.
Like we talk about like, okay, if you're going to turn to the right, make sure you're not turning from your shoulder. Make sure you're pushing from your hip. Like to talk about initiation. So they all look the same in choreography, things like that.
Right.
And then you can use that when you're teaching fitness too. Like, okay, we're going to rotate, but I don't want you pushing your arm because then you're using your arm muscles. I want you to pull your ribs back and then twist from your waist. And then they're like, oh, I feel my obliques. Like, those things.
Yeah.
And we don't even have to do them sometimes. We just know that through the way that our body has moved in the past. Like it's in there somewhere.
It's cool to make that connection though, where you're like, oh wait, yeah, I know that. And then when you are taking, even if you're taking classes, then fitness classes, you're like, oh, now I can feel that. And then you can start to feel those muscles activate when you're dancing. I do. I know we can do a whole another episode on,
I know,
just like the fitness to dance, like
it's a whole thing.
So I tell like all my guests this moment. It's like, okay, we'll be ready for a part 2, please, at some point, because then there's always things where we need to just like keep diving into everything because you have so many great things to share. I'm obsessed. Kelsey, wow, this has been great.
It was fun.
We're gonna wrap up with my questions I like to ask everyone. Get ready. They're not that bad, but if you had to give your younger self advice, what would it be?
Oh boy.
You know, we go from like body movement to like really
I know.
real
I'm like,
fast.
oh gosh. I think it would be to always take the risk. And I kind of did do that. And I think that that's what brought me to where I'm at. But I think when you're younger too, you get so nervous that you're going to make the wrong choice. And at the end of the day, like your gut is going to tell you what is right for you. So I think, looking back, just telling myself, like, trust the process and the risk is going to be worth it. And like the reward is going to come from that. And just that everything's going to work out. I think when you're young, and I'm particularly speaking to like my college age self, but like everything feels like the end of the world. You're like, if I don't get this job, it's the end of the world. If my friend gets this and I don't, it's the end of the world. If I don't move to New York, it's the end of the world. And like, it's not, there are so many different ways you can go. And I just wish I could go back in time and be like, everything's going to work out perfectly. It's fine.
Trust. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you are the epitome of trust your gut, which I'm obsessed with from just everything you've
multiple
done.
times over, but
You're like, I'm going to keep trusting it. It's not failed me yet.
Boy.
If there was one thing you wanted listeners to take away from all the things we've talked about, what would it be?
That inherently what is best for you, and that the industry has all of these different directions to go, and they're going to sometimes be in your face telling you have to do something. You know what you're supposed to do. Don't let other people's choices around you affect what you inherently decide to do. I think that is the most important. I preach that to my kids. I look back at myself doing the same thing. Like, if it doesn't feel right for you to take this company job, don't do it. Don't do it because you think society wants you to do that, or it'll prove that you're a version of yourself that you tell yourself you are. Do what you are meant to do.
I love that. It's easier said than done too. So
it is.
I'm glad we reiterated that because it's so hard in the moment. So giving yourself grace. Where can we find you? And anyone in the Michigan area, I'm sure that aren't already clients of yours or students, where can they find you at your Pilates studio?
Yes. Studio Core Pilates. It's in Royal Oak. We have 2 locations, one for the privates and one for a group class.
Okay, 2 locations.
Yeah, they're just around the corner from each other, but all the same clientele, which is great. Downtown Royal Oak. You can find us on Google or on Instagram. Studio 2_ core with a K.
I'll link everything too and put it in the notes, but
yeah. And then my Instagram is KELSSLEWW, Kelsey Lew.
Yay. Oh my gosh. Thank you for hanging out. It has been so fun and so informative. You guys share this episode with all your friends, everyone. And if you're not following, follow the show, follow Kelsey, and we will be back next time. Thanks for kicking it real with us.